Imagine Europe in the summer of 1914, a continent basking in the sun, seemingly at the peak of its power and prestige. Yet, beneath this glittering surface, a storm was brewing. A countdown to chaos that would unleash the most devastating war the world had ever seen. Was World War I just a tragic accident, a series of unfortunate events? Or was it an inevitable collision course set decades in the future? Let's unravel the tangled web that pulled an entire generation into the trenches. It all started with a single spark, the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand in Sarajevo. But a spark can only start a fire if the forest is already dry. And Europe in 1914 was a tinderbox of simmering tensions. To understand why, we need to look at the main causes: militarism, alliances, imperialism, and nationalism. First, militarism. The great powers of Europe were locked in a massive arms race. Britain and Germany were building bigger and bigger battleships, each trying to outdo the other. Armies were growing, new weapons were being developed, and military leaders were gaining huge influence over political decisions. War wasn't just seen as a possibility. It was actively planned for, almost glorified as a test of national strength. Military timetables, like Germany's infamous Schlieffen Plan, were so rigid that once set in motion, they were nearly impossible to stop. Diplomacy was being pushed aside in favor of mobilization schedules. Next, we have the intricate web of alliances. Europe was divided into two armed camps. On one side, you had the Triple Entente: France, Russia, and Great Britain. On the other, the Triple Alliance: Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy. These treaties were meant to keep the peace through a balance of power, but they did the exact opposite. They created a domino effect. An attack on one nation was considered an attack on all its allies. So when Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia, Russia felt compelled to protect its Slavic brethren. Germany then backed Austria-Hungary, which in turn brought France and Great Britain into the fray. A local conflict in the Balkans was instantly magnified into a continental-wide war. Then there's imperialism. For decades, European powers had been scrambling to build vast overseas empires, competing for colonies in Africa and Asia. This competition bred rivalry and mistrust. Germany, a relatively new nation, felt it deserved its place in the sun and was jealous of the sprawling empires of Britain and France. These colonial disputes, like the Moroccan crises, fueled the fire, creating an atmosphere of constant antagonism back in Europe. Each nation saw the world as a zero-sum game, where one's gain was another's loss. Finally, and perhaps most powerfully, was nationalism. This was the age of intense, often aggressive patriotism. In France, there was a burning desire for revenge against Germany for the loss of Alsace-Lorraine in a previous war. In the multi-ethnic empire of Austria-Hungary, various groups like Serbs, Croats, and Czechs were agitating for their own independent nations. This passionate nationalism made compromise difficult and diplomacy fraught with emotion. People were taught to love their country and, often, to hate their neighbors. The idea of fighting and dying for one's nation was seen as the ultimate noble act. So, when the Archduke was assassinated, it wasn't just a single event. It was the final fatal push on a series of dominoes that had been carefully lined up for years. The arms race, the tangled alliances, the imperial rivalries, and the fervent nationalism all combined to create a perfect storm. Leaders, trapped by their own military plans and public expectations, made a series of disastrous decisions during the July crisis of 1914, turning a regional dispute into a global catastrophe. The countdown to chaos had reached zero. The world was about to change forever. Thanks for watching. If you found this journey into the past insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more historical deep dives.